Welcome to what I want to call the psychology of the sale. I've been in this industry 12 years. And what I plan on sharing with you today is the things I've seen that have worked over the course of that 12 years in the sale of life insurance. And I think as important, if not more importantly, the things that don't work. I think that for us, when I found this business, for me, I'd never sold life insurance. I'd been a real estate agent for a short period of time. I was a social worker for 14 years. But I understood, even when I was a social worker back, when I got out of college, I walked out the door of my college, I understood that I was trying to get people to do something that they didn't necessarily want to do. At the core of anything I've ever done, I've tried to figure out what are the core principles, and not what do I want out of it, but what does the person I'm going to be engaged in working with, what does he or she want out of it? And are our priorities aligned? So when I was a social worker, they weren't. Clients didn't ask for me to come to their house. I was a child protective services worker. And if I got called to your home, that means somebody filed a report against you. And the first thing I would say is, first of all, when I got to him was, I'm not against you. Whatever report you think was filed against you, I'm the person assigned to make sure the kids are okay and the family stays intact. And I think that those are principles I learned early on by watching other people that were good at it. But I also watched people that weren't good at it. So I'd watch client interaction with some of the workers that I didn't think were very good. And I was like, I'm never going to do it that way. I'm never going to preach to people. I'm never going to act like it's an adversarial relationship. So in the life insurance business, when I got my license and I went out in the field, I'll be very honest with you, it was a very simple process for me. People would say it's simple but not easy. And I don't like MLME tongue twisters. They're weird to me. I don't read a million books. The only book I read is the Bible. I'm ready. I'm good with everything else. You all can read whatever you want. I'm happy. I'm not mad at you. That's the best leadership book there is. But I want to understand people. And I think you learn to understand people by interacting with them and keeping your eyes and your ears open, and then figuring out on a daily basis, what did I learn from that interaction? So let's take life insurance sales, right? Let's take the fact that we have all these leads, and we're only in the lead-based sales. So if you go, Sean, how do I do it with somebody who didn't ask for life insurance? I'd go quit. And don't do it that way. It's awkward, weird, uncomfortable, and counterproductive, and it's not going to be profitable because they didn't ask you for something. So the leads in life insurance, that's what attracted me to the life insurance business. What I understood at that point in time was I was going to have a huge target population that had already asked me for help. So when I got leads when I first started, I was watching other people dial them. And I thought, man, they're just not good at all. Like they would call people up and they would be like, hey, how you doing, Mr. Jones? And I literally had no phone script. But what I watched was people being so bad at it. And I thought to myself, why are they approaching the clients like the client's doing them a favor? Like if you fill something out, you send it back to me, I purchase it. Okay, it's my job. And then I call you. I don't see how you're the one doing me a favor. I see like I'm doing my job, but I think that I have a product that you want and you haven't figured out how to get it yet. So for me, this might sound weird. And I did this to the day I dialed 5 months ago. Guy said to me, here's some leads. He was like, man, I have a really hard time with these leads. I talked to 15 of them, booked 12 appointments, took me 40 minutes. I have no idea who all the leads were. So I still do it to this day if I'm down leads. And I said, I would always talk to myself about the fact that every single person I'm going to speak with today knows they need this. Every single person I'm going to speak to today has stated and proven to me that they've requested the coverage. So why would I treat them differently? Why would I ever act like I'm trying to sell them something? I also understood that if I didn't respect my time and didn't have proper structure, then I was going to fail. I think we all despite the fact that we all say we don't want structure, I think independent contractors like the freedom, but the better independent contractors are good with their own structure. They provide their own structure. And I think all of us thrive. And I think on the flip side, a lot of us don't. And we kind of go downhill real fast without that appropriate structure. For me, I just wanted to be the one providing myself the structure. I didn't want to be in my job asking for time off, figuring out where I can go to my son's games. I just didn't want to. That was me. And everybody's different. So when I started calling leads, I would literally talk to myself for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes and say, Sean, they all want your help. They all need your help. Every single person's raised their hand and said they need it. They either don't have enough or don't have any life insurance. They're also going to say things on the phone to you that probably are not true. They're going to say stuff like, I'm all set. They're going to have their own internal training on how can I know I want it. I know I need it. I know I filled it out, but how can I get this guy or girl to agree that I don't need it? Because what happens is somebody fills something out on a Tuesday. Well, you might get it on Tuesday 4 minutes later if it's internet. You might get it on Tuesday 6, 7 days later. If it's direct mail, you might get it on, if it's Facebook within it, it depends on the leads. But at the end of the day, they're at a crisis point when they fill it out. It doesn't mean the entire world's ending, but it means something happened, whether it was a death or disability of somebody they know. They watched a movie, they saw something on TV, they watched the news, they all of a sudden had an epiphany about their mom or dad passing away, or their aunt or uncle or their grandparent, and the people's financial situation. Maybe they thought about their daughter or their son who's not married and has a couple of kids and isn't in that great a position. Something entered their mind to make them go, I need to do this. Now, every single hour or day that goes by without us contacting them, I would agree that dissipates a little bit. So our job when we call them is to bring them right back there real fast. But the reality when we're on the phone, and I'll get into, a lot of people are doing a lot of phone sales, and the psychology is the same, is we need to make sure that they know that we're crystal clear they need this. We're crystal clear they asked for it. But also, unless you're selling on the phone, we used to say when you're booking appointments to meet with people, nothing good happens on the phone. The world's changed dramatically now. So we're selling a ton on the phone and selling a ton on Zoom. And the reality is, if you were to ask me 2 years ago, Sean, what do you think about this being on the phone virtually? I would have said, I don't know. I've always been in the home. But I know the world's changed so much that if you're going to do your medical appointments on a phone, that if you're going to receive your child's educational update on the phone, if your kids are going to be educated on Zoom, I should say, if your kids are going to be educated on Zoom, then sure as heck, people can go ahead and acquire life insurance on the phone and via Zoom. So, but the posture is still the same. And what I mean by that is, if you call me up and you act like you don't know what you're doing, number one. And I don't mean know what you're doing like every carrier in the history and how many years they've been involved in the business and what the ratings are. The client just wants to know if you're passionate about what you do, right? So the psychology behind it is thinking about, what are they thinking about? Well, they know they need it. They know they asked for it, but they're scared. What are they scared of? I think the number one fear I've seen in 12 years that our clients have is they don't want to be lied. They don't want to be lied to by an agent. So if we can allay that concern immediately, I think we eliminate a lot of the fears, right? They don't be lied. People go like, well, they don't want to be sold. Okay, I got it, but they want the life insurance. So they do want to purchase a life insurance. I would agree with you. They don't need some crazy sales pitch from you. Matter of fact, I think people that are really good at this are not transactional. This is not a transactional deal. It's just not. I've been in real estate. It's pretty transactional. Car business, pretty transactional. There's a lot of things that are very transactional. Furniture sales, I'm probably not going to be like emotionally attached to the sofa or the ottoman. I'm going to go somewhere else if it's $28 cheaper. But life insurance is something that basically, when you look at actuarial science, the numbers are the numbers. They're all pretty much like he or she's this age, they have this medical problem. What they are buying, though, is the agent and their ability to control a situation. Because at the end of the day, the one thing I know about life insurance is the only product I'm aware of that when you buy it, if you buy it from me, okay, so if Tom buys policy from me and I go, here, Tom, here's your policy, your children will be taken care of. When Tom dies, that's when the policy kicks in. We all get that part, right? Life insurance, okay, not complicated. Except Tom has no control of how I service it. If Tom's daughter buys a car from me and it don't work, Tom can call me back in 2 weeks and go, hey man, what are you doing? What's up? If Tom buys a house from me and the septic system's failing, he can get in his car, get on his phone, text me, email me, call me, come see me, all of the above. But if he doesn't trust I'm going to do my job when he's dead, he's entrusting me to take care of his family, everything I tell him in the policy is accurate, that I'm going to answer my phone. So I think the psychology in our business, a few things that we miss out on a lot of, is explain to people, what are people looking for nowadays? I think the same thing they've been looking for quite a while. Somebody that they believe is going to stand up for them, somebody that actually works hard at their job. Because here's the funny thing. When you say that to people, that you're like going to meet with them and everything about the policy is going to be 100% accurate, that somehow is an anomaly to them. And I'm like, what world do we live in? I had a guy one day and he said, well, I applied I want 400 grand. I'm not going to do it unless I get $400,000 in life insurance. I said, sir, you're diabetic. You had a heart attack 4 years ago and you're 71 and you want me to get you $400,000 life insurance for $150 a month. Do you want me to lie to you and tell you that you can get it? Because if they issued life insurance on every single person for basically free, there'd be no industry. The industry would implode. It'd be like a firecracker inside a closed hand. But here's what we can do, sir. We can get you $25,000 for $247 a month and be thankful that we can get you that, sir, based on your medical, meaning you have to take control, right? That's what people want you to do. I don't get offended when you tell them the truth in a respectful way. They get offended when after a while they're like, dude, I can't get an honest answer out of this guy. I don't know where I'm going. So when you go to somebody's house, there's a myriad of ways we do this, right? Let's just do the in-home first, and we'll definitely talk quickly about phone and virtual. But again, posture is all exactly the same, okay? People would say to me, what do you do with your leads once you call them and don't meet with you? I'm like, well, I would door knock them. First thing I do is call them a bunch. And if they don't answer, then I leave them a voicemail. Voicemail is, hey, Tom, Sean, Mortgage Protection Center, Senior Benefit Center, whatever it is. I have this form. You fill it out. I'm out in your area. We get a couple thousand a week, and the county's there. I need to get out and give this to you. I'm going to be out there Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning. My number is this. Here's where I'll be driving. If that's a problem, call me. If not, see you Saturday at 10. Because I've already tried him a bunch. Now, typically, if he's going to be there and he doesn't want me to be there, he'll call me. To which I'm probably not going to answer because I know he's calling me to try to cancel the appointment I set. And I have the information I want to show up. When I show up at somebody's house and knock on a door, I don't wait. And the guy one day said, well, I knock on the door and book appointments. I said, you're telling me you drive to their house, you knock on the door, they answer the door, and then you go, hey, Tom, how you doing? My name's Sean. You need life insurance. Can I come back Tuesday at 6 when it's Saturday? And he says, what do you say when they open the door? I ask them if they want me to take my shoes off. Because I already assume I'm already in, but I'm here. Like, you open a door, I'm good. And I think that when you stand up for them, because you're not standing up for yourself, you stand up for them. When somebody says something to you, like, let's think about all the things that people say to stop you from selling them life insurance. I say we take orders, but people say we're in life insurance sales. When somebody fills something out and we go out to their home and we give them what they asked for, I don't know how we're selling life insurance. I'm not trying to be rude. Like, please don't overestimate your sales ability. We're literally just placing, we're filling orders. Same thing on the phone, same thing on Zoom. So when I go out to somebody's house and I literally take control immediately in a very respectful way, they know I'm serious about my job. And also they'll be uncomfortable about wasting my time. Everything's with 100% respect. It's their home, but for the next 30, 45, 50 minutes, I'm in control of what we're doing. No different than if you were laid hardwood floor for a living, or you were an arborist and cut down tree, whatever it is, I wouldn't, and that was the analogy I give my clients all the time. Would you like me to come to your job site and tell you how to cut a tree down around power lines, or would you trust yourself? I trust myself, Sean. That's what I do for a living. Good. Can we have the same respect for what I do for a living? Because the last time I checked, I'm the only person in this house with an insurance license. So can we just, with all due respect, Tom, I'm just trying to do my job here. You know, when you start in the business, because here's the deal. Here's you and here's the client. And when everybody's comfortable, nothing gets done. I go out to the house, I meet with you, I'm super nice to you, I compliment you. I'm on the phone, I compliment you, I'm super nice to you. I'm on Zoom, I compliment you, I'm super nice to you. And we never, ever get uncomfortable. You're never going to say yes. Now, what I say is 25% of the people are going to say yes no matter what you do, and I still stand behind that. 25% of them are going to buy it no matter what. Like, you literally just call them up, go to their house. They'll say stuff like, I can't afford more than $200 a month. I know I need it. Thank God you came out. Do you think I'm eligible? I smoke and have diabetes. Like, they're getting it no matter what. There's 25% are going to ask a couple questions. 25% are going to ask a few more questions. And 25% might be a bigger wrestling match where you might just go, hey, listen, I've been here now for 48 minutes, and no matter what, we'll talk about that in a minute, how to know when to leave your appointments, and whether it's on the phone, on Zoom, or in the home. But at the end of the day, what I can tell you is that people are crystal clear about the fact that they know for a fact that a new bill sucks. There's a better way to put it. I'd probably, if I went to a better school, maybe we'd have a better phraseology. But the reality really is, when you go to somebody's home, there's no way they're excited about, they might be excited about getting the coverage, believe me, and a lot of them will be. But a lot of your job is to explain that, hey, this is an expense we can't avoid paying. But I don't expect you to be so excited that now you get to pay $180 a month. I would like you to be, because we covered your family. But I understand that's your concern, right? So when you're meeting with people, and to take a step back, the first thing you have to do is make sure you provide structure. I'm sorry, but that starts from the initial contact. How you shake somebody's hand, how you look them in the eye, what you say, what you don't say. I am about being complimentary. I'm not about having 20 minutes of small talk. I think that's weird. I think people don't buy life insurance from their friends. If they did, this would work without leads, and it doesn't work without leads. That's been validated for the last 2 decades. It does not. So for us, it's getting people to understand that initial contact is about that handshake, that you look them in the eye, you tell them who you are, you letting them know, what you do, who you are. Yes, you should be complimentary, but immediately you should move to wherever you're all going to do business. And I think it's the same thing on the phone. I think it's you taking control of the situation. So you walk in, Hey, Tom, what a great place. How long you been here? 7 years. Cool. You from the area? No, I'm not. All right, great. Is it just you, Tom? You're the only one in the forum? Yes, it's just me. I got a couple kids, but they're older. They moved. Where do they live? Here's where they live. Boom. How are they doing? What do they do for a living? Are they married? Do they have kids? Knowledge is power. I want all the information I can have about the situation because that information is going to be used against him in a very good way. Meaning, I need to know who the potential people are that would have an issue if he doesn't get this coverage day. I want to know who he cares about in his life and who he's trying to protect. Who he's trying to protect in general, who he's trying to protect from his own debt. So once I move past that, well, Tom, let's sit over here. Great. I just want to take control. I've not been a one people I tell them to get me a glass of water. I'm like, that's weird. You do what you want to do. I never did that. It's their home. If I'm thirsty, if they ask, I'll accept it because I think that's polite, but I don't really tend to boss people around. But I say, hey, Tom, let's sit over here, man. Let's get this, let me get some information to you. Boom, you sit down. What is he looking for? First thing I tell him is, I need you to understand no matter what I say in here, I'm going to shoot you straight. If I tell you it's going to be a certain price, I don't give him a price yet, it's going to be exactly that price to the penny. I'm going to explain the products, which are not complicated, and I'm going to see if you're eligible. And I'm also going to tell you that I answer my phone every single day, and if you call me and I don't call you back within a day, call the office and ask them who the new agent is because I'm dead. Just understand, because I died. The only reason I'm not going to call you back within 24 hours is I actually died because I'm an adult and I do my job. So by all means, if it's 24 hours goes by, contact office and say, hey, I got this policy over here with Americo. Sean's obviously dead. Who's my new agent? So I walk through all of that kind of stuff, right? So for me, at the end of the day, what I want to do is provide my own structure of who I am and what I do. And then I start talking about, you fill this out, you run line, direct mail, whatever it was. I'm not big on huge open-ended questions. I think they're dangerous. I just think that's how you get stuck. Whoever asks the most questions wins. Tom, when you fill this out, I'm assuming you fill this out for the reason that most every other person does. You want to make sure your final expenses are taken care of and those children you were talking about and grandchildren you were talking about are okay. Yes, Sean, I was. Got it. Cool. When you did that, what was the amount of money you were thinking? 50 grand, 25 grand? What number were you thinking you'd need to take care of that? I want closed-ended questions. Well, it depends on the price. I got that part, Tom. What I'm asking you, bud, is how much do you believe you're going to need minimally to cover your expenses? What does that look like for you? Well, it looks like this. Okay, got it. And then you're walking them through it, right? What are the medical? Give me some medical. Go through my medical. You do an online application. It's super easy. But I think when your posture's right, people will just fall in line. No different than me. If my car doesn't work, I want the person that takes care of my car to tell me what's wrong with it exactly. Tell me exactly what it takes to fix it and when it'll be done. That's it. If he or she's stammering and stumbling and can't get the information out, I'm 100% going to go somewhere else because you're making me nervous and you're making me confused, and confused people do nothing. So at the end of the day, we need to build that relationship, but you're building it based on I'm here to protect you. If people believe you have strength, it's not about being the strongest person in the history of the world. It's about the strength you have to talk to them and be honest with them about what's going on. Because the number one thing that clients say to get you to not sell them life insurance, whether it's on the phone, Zoom, or the phone in the home, is I want to think about it. That's like client 101, I want to think about it. And the reality is that a lot of people start throwing up on them about, what do they mean? Think about what? Why are you doing this? And I just always stopped and said, what do you mean by that? Think about what? And I wait. You understand, their words they will sell themselves. I'm just placing the order. They're going to sell themselves. When people start, they're like, well, you want me to call you when I'm in the house? Yes. Why? I go, well, here's what I would do. I would call me and I would go, hey, Sean, this is Mark. I'm sitting with Tom and Susan. I went over everything with them and they're telling me they want to think about it. I told them I had to call my manager and talk to them. I would go, Mark, this is what I would do. I was telling the guys the other day. I said, I would get on speakerphone and say, hey, Tom, Susan, Sean, I work with Mark. Hey, quick question. I'm confused. What did Mark do wrong since he's been there? To which they're going to say he hasn't, because they really like Mark, because we say no to people that we become our friends. So Mark's become their friend. So they're like, no, Mark's been great. We just want to think about it. I go, yeah, but Tom, we get thousands of these every single week in your area. And almost everybody just goes ahead and gets the insurance because you really just were kind of placing orders. I need to make sure, what did Mark do wrong while I was there? Did he not explain it? Is the price, when you look at your monthly budget, let's walk through this because, Tom, you already thought about it and you filled it out. So there's nothing to think about, Tom. This isn't like buying a car where you can take the bus or the subway or walk or ride a bicycle. You could die today just like I could and so could Mark. So I want everybody to be in touch with their mortality. But you could. So Tom, explain to me what you're talking about. What did Mark, and now they'll start defending Mark. And if they start defending Mark, they're buying Mark. Now I'm selling them on Mark because Mark should have been selling them on himself, but he didn't do a good enough job. But Mark's nice, so they're super nice. And they're like, if we ever get insurance, Mark, we're going to get it through you. And then I say, and I don't want Mark to be thinking about when you end up getting ill and you ask for life insurance, you're ineligible because Mark said you're eligible today. Or there's a death and Susan doesn't get paid. So guys, why don't you sit back down with Mark? Why don't you come up, how much is a month? And I'll sell him over the phone. How much is the monthly number? Well, Sean, was total $297 a month. Hey, Tom, was there an issue with that? We know nothing's going to be free. We need you all to be taken care of. He might go, yeah, you know what, man, we were hoping to be closer to $200 a month. Let's talk about it, but let's problem solve. But when I get on the phone immediately, it's not, hey, Tom, hey, Sue, it's Tom. Yeah, it's Sean. Yeah, nice to meet you, Susan. I'm Mark's boss. You have to take control. And what do most people want? Well, they want to feel like, see, I want to take control where they think they're still in control on some level. And that's the magic. I mean, with what do men want? And I'm big in complimenting people because I actually like to make people feel that. I think that's awesome. Whether I'm walking the street, somebody I see I've never met, I want to pour into people's lives. So if I'm sitting with a husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, and that guy or that lady, they're, like for me, I say a lot to people because my mom raised me and my brother, pretty much like single mom. And I'm like, I always say to people when there's this, like, whether single mom and son is, I can't tell you what it meant to me watching my mom work this hard. You should be really proud of yourself. I want people to feel good. I don't do it I want them to feel good. And I think that transparency and vulnerability comes with your ability to talk good about other people. I think nobody cares about you talking good about you. All I tell my clients is I work really hard. I'm going to call you back and I'm going to fiercely advocate for you with the insurance company. I'm on your side. And if it seems adversarial, I say, Tom, can I ask something? It seems like we're on opposite sides. That's odd to me because we're both on the exact same side. You want to protect your family and I have the ability to do so. Why would it just seems weird to me, Susan and Tom, like it seems like we're not on opposing sides. We're on the exact same side. So let's proceed like we're on the same team, please. But nicely, everything's respectful. Now you might say that makes me uncomfortable, Sean, saying that. That's part of the deal. Because the more uncomfortable they get and the more uncomfortable you get is when we go ahead and get everybody buying life insurance. But nobody does something. It's like you could have I could have the highest cholesterol in the world. And I'm probably going to keep eating whatever I want to eat. But all of a sudden I get a heart attack. I go to the doctor. And the doctor's like, hey, man, here's the deal. Cholesterol. Now, here's what I'd like my doctor to say. Hey, man, your cholesterol's stupid high. I'm going to give you some medication. If you don't start taking it and this plaque keeps building up in these arteries, you're going to have another heart attack. And you may die. You might not, but you're going to have another heart attack. But you could take this medication, start eating better and working out more, and then you'll be better off. And all of a sudden, boom. I don't want him to come in and go, you know what? This is what happened. I'd like you to eat better. I'm like, dude, here's the way it's going to work. The next time I see you, it might be because you're dead. And I'll say goodbye to you now because if you keep eating the way you're eating, don't work out, keep doing the other things you're doing, you are going to die younger than you should have. And I think we all crave that on some level. We all crave the directness. We all crave that response. Our clients are no different. Matter of fact, they're some of the most trusting people in the world because they filled something out and said, hey, come and help me. Because that's a struggle for a lot of people when they get in this business. They start approaching the clients like they do themselves. And I'm like, I always stop them and go, would you ever fill a form out and send it back to somebody you don't know? And a lot of them say no. I go, then stop trying to think about what you would say because you wouldn't fill it out. You're trying to set yourself up here. Like you wouldn't do it. Don't try to get in your own head about what you think they're going to say next. The reality is they don't have many things to say to try to say they're not going to do it. I want to think about it. It's a big one. I want to shop around. I mean, we're independent people. And life insurance isn't that deep. The more death benefit and the medical issues, the price, they're all pretty. We're just looking for better benefits, man. We have some that have better benefits, living benefits, and some don't have living benefits. And return of premium is return of premium. You get all your money back. Whole life insurance is good the rest of your life. I mean, it's us. What they're trying to sell themselves on is, I need this today, and I know this is a new bill, and I'm going to suck it up and pay it. That's it. And you're doing everything you can to build the right relationship with them, which is you're the protector, not the friend. You're respectful. You're there for them, and you're a fierce fighter and competitor for them, not against them. And you talk about, we work in the middle American market, okay? Because the thing you have to understand if you're working with us at Family First Life is, if you leave the house without providing coverage, there's a good chance they're never going to let anybody back in. If you are on the phone and you don't make the sale, there's a good chance they're never gonna let anybody try to call them again. Because now they've done their they go to their spouse and say, I tried. I told you. It was just, man, I got to pay $200 a month. I tried. And the reality really is, if you don't convince them of your strength and compassion and your desire to see them protect their families, it's going to be easy for them to make that decision and say no. So you start thinking about that. Flip to on the phone. We had people on the phone like, what would you say? I'm like, I would say, due to our current situation, we're doing it over the phone. And people start doing that. They're already doing it anyway. They're like, hey, here's the Department of Insurance. Here's my license number. Let me text you my license. Check it out. Check me out. Well, let's go through this whole thing. And when they, and people go like, well, they give you all the information. Yes, they want life insurance. Yes, they get on the phone with their medical insurance company and they give them all the information. They email it. It's all protected. Why would they not give it to you? But if they won't give it to you, because if you're uncomfortable, they're going to think you're up to something. That's a struggle for people. If you come to my house after I filled something out and you seem uncomfortable, you of course are going to make me nervous because I don't understand why you're uncomfortable. I want life insurance. Even if I'm not convinced that I'm going to buy it immediately, why are you acting weird? Why are you acting withdrawn? Why? And that's one of the things we have to do a better job of teaching agents when they start. The first thing we have to figure out is, how comfortable or uncomfortable are you calling people? Number two, how consistent are you going to be? And I'm sorry, but when I hear people go like, a guy said to me the other day, man, I'm just so emotionally frustrated by this, I need a break. I'm like, they're like people that fight for our country, right? They get shot at like every day and don't sleep for days on end. They're like single parents right now that have cancer and they're going to work and they feel real bad and they're going through chemo, but they can't take time off their job. Like, let's slow down with you're stressed out and you need a break because you dialed the phone. It's a little bit much. And I think you have to provide yourself perspective and anything for that matter, but especially being independent and going out and meet with people. Because the minute you start thinking this is a lot of work, I don't know, I've done jobs that are a lot of work. I think cutting trees down for 16, 17, 18 hours a day is a lot of work. I think roofing houses is a lot of physical work. I think loading and unloading trucks at 1 o'clock in the morning until 9 a.m., I think it's a lot of work. I just do. Calling people up, selling them from your home, getting on Zoom, getting your air-conditioned car to go to their air-conditioned house. And every single person we have can afford it. That's the other thing that struggle for people early on. They say, well, Sean, he couldn't afford it. And I'm like, no, he couldn't afford to buy it from you. He didn't like you. Well, he can afford it. He has a phone you called him on, a residence, because you went there, probably had a car. They have income. They probably pay more for a darn cell phone the policy would have cost them. But they didn't like you. Every time I couldn't make a sale, every time, and you don't have to do this, every time I'd say, all right, guys, if you don't mind, I have to ask 2 questions before I leave. The only way anybody would ever fill this out and not get it is one of 2 reasons, according to my manager. I have to report back which one it is for you. Either you don't like me, don't trust me, or I made it too expensive. So which one was it, guys? And I wait. And they're going to inevitably say neither one of them, which is not true. And I go, guys, I have to pick one I have to fill it out and pick one. I have to. So which one is it? Did you not you didn't like me as your agent, or you didn't trust me, or is it too expensive? Which one is it? And I can wait. Silence is killer. I can wait 20 seconds, a minute. Try to stand in front of people and not talk for 30 seconds. It's awkwardly weird. But I need people to understand how serious I am about this. Now, if somebody's not going to buy it and I sense that after 5-7 minutes, I'll just go, Tom, everything I'm saying, no matter what I say, you push back. I'm a little bit confused. We can start over. Or when you fill this out, you did want life insurance, correct? Yeah, Sean, I did. Okay, well, what's changed from then until now? Well, I've been thinking a lot about it. It's just an added bill. I got that part. But obviously your family can't afford the added bill if you can't afford it. That's the best time to get it. Every time is a good time to get it. The economy's going great. You got plenty of money. You're trying to protect everything. Economy's not going so good. You don't have a lot of money. You want to make sure you're nervous. You don't have a lot. You're always, whether it's mortgage protection or final expenses, life insurance sells all the time. We've had the last couple of years. We didn't ask for any of this. I feel bad that people are going through anything. But people are more in touch with their mortality today than they ever have been. Ever, because you can't turn the TV on without them talking about it. So you have to start to understand, how do people move? How do I get them uncomfortable? What questions do I ask? Calling somebody you work with when you're in the home is uncomfortable. And for me, I wanted to ask people to do that because I was hoping eventually they'd want to stop doing it. I was hoping they would just do the things I was doing over the phone with the client. Now, if you go, well, I'm afraid, Well, I think that's another thing we need to work with agents on is the one thing I'll tell you, and I don't want to take this the wrong way, but I'm just being honest. Whatever anybody believes, and I don't judge anybody. Believe whatever you want to believe, and we're all imperfect. I know I'm a train wreck, so I'm not judging anybody. But if you have fear, that's lack of faith. My faith is like I believe that there's something bigger and better than me. I believe in the Lord. I know what's happening, and I'm not fearful because the only leadership book I read tells me not to be over and over and over and over again. So, and I'm a big, what's the worst thing that can happen? It's like buying leads. I had a person the other day literally trying to convince me, even though they had a 40% contract and they don't make any money, been in the business for 5 years, that they don't want to buy leads. So I literally stopped and said, okay, let me ask you something. If you got 80 leads for $1,000, is there any chance that you wouldn't make 2 sales and get your money back? And everybody I've talked to is like, no, I don't think there's any chance. Okay, so where's the fear? If the worst thing that happens, and you'd be really bad if you only made 2 sales out of 80, what is the worst thing that's going to happen to you? You're going to get your money back? I'm a big worst case scenario person. Like, okay, let me look at this business. What's the worst thing that can happen? Hey, I'm going to go over this. Okay, let's look at what's the worst thing that can happen over there? Like you go, I went skydiving. And they're like, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? I'm like, I guess you could die, but it doesn't seem to happen very often. But you're more apt to go ahead and break something. So when you come in, they said, don't put your feet down, slide in, because you can break an ankle. And I said, how often does that happen? And the instructor, which I like, said, too many times. Do you want to risk it? And I was like, no. He's like, then just slide in like everybody else, bud. And I was like, and I liked that answer. I was like, you're right. I'm kind of being stupid. Like, I want to be told what to do as well when you're the one that has the answers. But when you're sitting with people, you need to figure out, or on the phone with them, or on Zoom with them, you need to figure out why they filled out what they filled out by asking closed-ended questions. Make sure they understand you're the one. They should buy life insurance. They should want to buy life insurance from you so bad because of the way you carry yourself. You should be talking to them about your family. You should be making them uncomfortable. You should be asking them what's going to happen. And I mean, I had a guy tell me one day, you need to back the hearse up to the door. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. That's a weird thing. And I'm being funny. I know what he meant. But my deal was I wanted you to know. I wanted you unequivocally to know what was going to happen if you didn't do this. So let's say you said, I'm not going to do it. I'd go, all right, Tom, explain to me what that looks like, please. You die tomorrow. Explain to me what happens. Well, Sean, I don't have to worry about that. I'm like, that's my job, though, Tom. That's the problem. This is something that we're 100% sure you're going to use, and we're 100% sure we don't know when it's going to be. We're buying peace of mind, bud. What is peace of mind? What are you willing to pay for peace of mind? So I always said, what are you willing to pay for a peace of mind? For a peace of mind, a good night's sleep every day, and knowing you did the right thing by your family. What is that worth? It's priceless. Okay, so then certainly, sure as hell, $160 a month is okay. Because if it's priceless, why aren't we doing this? And I tell stories. I talk to people. If you've not had a death claim yet, talk to people. You understand the amount of people in America that state, you can look at all these stats from Limmer and everybody else that come up on them all the time, that the vast majority of people in America state that they don't have any life insurance, don't have enough. And at the end of the day, there's never been a client that's ever come back and said, that was too much death. That was too much death benefit. I need to get some of it back. So you have to understand that with your entire interaction. Provide the structure, ask the right questions, find out what they're eligible for. Now listen, here's the other thing. If what you're doing is working, keep doing it. If you go, hey, I do 3 phases, top, down, selling. I don't care what you do as long as it works for you. But I can tell you what's going to win the battle. Activity, lead flow, activity, lead flow. The dangerous thing about this business is that we understand that's an advanced business, and you won't make any money if you're not consistent. That's a fact. I've heard this from people, and they've joined us because the people they were working with weren't telling the truth. They've told them they don't have to work hard. They can work 1 day a week and have the best quality of life ever. Don't worry about it. I said, how'd it work out? They're like, we're broke as a joke. Like, it's pathetic. We don't have any money. And they just keep selling us a dream, and I'm tired of the dream. I need reality. See, the dream's fine when your reality's good. But when reality's a mess, let's just handle reality first. That's the struggle for a lot of people. Like, I'm all about like pursuing the dream, but if my reality's all jacked up, let's fix reality first. Because then it's actually kind of a little bit concerning when the reality's jacked up, but we're living in a dream world. So at Family First Life, we need to know if you're making money. You need to know if you're making money. You need to talk to people making money. You need to know what your expenses are. Your expenses are your leads. That's it. And I can tell you what, there are a lot of men and women right now absolutely crushing it on aged leads, instant leads, very low lead bills, and writing 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 grand a month. What leads should you get? Whatever you want to get. People say to me all the time, where would you go? I'm like, I don't, what do you mean, where would I go? What would you get for leads? I'd get myself as many opportunities as I could. I'm a lead guy. You might, I just am, sorry. 8 months old, 7 months old, brand new, internet, Facebook, direct mail. Just give me the lead and I'll call them up. The point is you always have to be asking. You always have to be filling orders. And you have to understand that anybody in this business, anybody in this business can issue $30K a month. You can't build a business without issue paying $30K a month. You can't. If anybody tells you can, they're lying to you, unless you have money coming in. Now, you see a bunch of people at our company doing 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, $100,000 a month. Good for them. You can issue as much as you want. But I can tell you, and they, by the way, all those people, all they have different than everybody else, they have an attitude where they're on it every day, all day. They're not negative. I've talked to them. They always believe they can do it. They have lead flow. They're not scared to invest in themselves. They're crazy consistent. They plan everything like they are their own boss. Talk to them, they'll say, yeah, I'm going away this week for vacation. Like, it's almost like they scheduled their own vacation. They're still structured, running a real company. They'll run harder before that when they get back. Like, this is a real job to them. And if you treat this like an activity, you're going to get that result. But if you treat it like it's your only way to make money, if it is, and I think I'm a big what's your plan B kind of guy. People are like, why'd you run 7 days a week for so long? I'm like, because I didn't have a plan B. And I think a lot of people don't have a plan B, but that comes back to this whole fictitious fantasy dream world. I'd rather enjoy what I'm doing and have the right results. So as you're thinking about our business, as you're thinking about your business, you need to think, same thing when you're hiring me. You want the right structure? You need to hire me. You need to talk to me. You need to make sure I know that you can help me. So if I'm an agent, I'm brand new, what do I want to know from you? I want to know that you know how to do this. I hope you've sold at a high level or still selling at a high level, and you don't have to be selling $100,000 a month, right? I hope that you're going to be honest with me. I hope that you're going to be there for me. By the way, if you don't plan on answering your phone, please don't become an independent contractor. Please. If you're not going to answer your phone if an agent calls, it's the psychology of a sale, which is getting a client to understand you, to trust you because of the way you carry yourself, to believe in you and say, I want that guy or girl to be my insurance person, to know that you care deeply about their family and you care so much that you'll get uncomfortable. See, when you're comfortable, that's selfish. People are like, well, I was just uncomfortable. I didn't want to say that. He was here and I was here. I didn't want to get him over here because you're selfish. See, the idea of what people say is, I didn't want to be rude. I go, isn't that funny how you're selfish and you act like you don't want to be rude? That's like adorable, right? That'd be like the doctor going, when I leave, going, he's going to die, right? And the nurse goes, well, why didn't you tell him? And he's like, I didn't want to be rude. No, you're selfish. You just felt like you're going to do your job and not be uncomfortable. So for us, that's why people, and being able to stand up for them and asking them good questions and being confident and challenge them. And whoever asks the most questions wins. And being presumptive. I assume and presume everybody's going to say yes. Why? Because they should. Because everybody should say yes. Because they've already asked for it. All I'm doing is placing an order. If I'm hiring people, I want to know, do you work hard? And I know most people are going to say yes. I go, okay, what is your idea of hard work? A guy the other day, I said, do you want to work full time? He goes, yeah, full time, definitely. I go, what is your definition of full time? He goes, what do you mean? I go, how many hours a week? He said 30 to 35, and I about threw up my own mouth. I fell out of the chair. I had a heart attack, I think myself, got back up. 30 to 35 hours is full time? Oh my God. Like, first of all, 40 hours is not really full time, but it's considered full time. If you're an independent contractor, you want to be working, you need to spend the first couple of years working real hard. Doesn't mean you're not going to work hard the rest of the time, but you can run it from your phone subsequent to that. You need to find out from people what they're willing to do. You need to find out why they want to do this. You need to find out if they're going to challenge people. And the most important thing, I'll end with this, is you're going to get people to believe in themselves. Your job when you're meeting with clients, get them to believe in you. The psychology of the sale says if you can't sell yourself on why you should be the one to protect them, why would they buy it? And if you can't sell yourself, who can? Well, I'm just uncomfortable. Get over it. Let me help you all out. We all have messed up stuff. We all have baggage. We all have life. It's called life. You know, I was a social worker for all these years. My manager said to me one day, he'd been doing it a long time. I said, what's the best advice you give people when they're, going through all this? He goes, I sit them down, look them in the eyes and say, I go over all the stuff they got going on. I go, hold on a minute. Get over it. Problem solved. And I know it sounds stupid and I'm not minimizing people go through stuff, but I'm providing perspective. I always tell people I have a doctorate in minimization. I want to minimize anything that's not worth having this kind of energy, or I can't control it. I want to minimize it. And when you're building your business and talking to new agents, they have to understand the psychology of the sale, why people buy and why they don't buy, and the strength they're going to want from the agent they work with, and the willingness to be uncomfortable, and the willingness to ask good questions, and the willingness to be transparent. If I'm at your dining room table and I'm going to ask you all your information, or I'm on the phone with you, and I'm not going to share anything with you about me, that makes me nervous. Like, you want all the information from me. I'll tell you about my childhood, how I grew up. Clients would say to me, you want something to drink? Like, guy would be like, you want a beer? I'm like, how many do you got? I've been sober this many years. If you want me to start drinking again, I'll probably move in. But I was transparent, sharing something that I didn't need to share with them. And I also wanted to give them recognition and credibility and stuff that they've done in their life, make them feel good about it, whether it's their job or accolades, things I didn't do, or their family or how they were raised. But the psychology of an override is it's important to understand as well. If you're going to make an override working with me, you better be working. This whole integrity thing is unbelievable, the integrity fact, right? Like, you go ahead and build your business. There's a number of people that can get to that level, within 2 years. Actually, some are doing it in a year. You have to focus on other people. Put other people first, and you'll win. When you're in their house, on the phone, or on Zoom, don't worry about your own feelings. Don't worry about being judged. Nobody can judge you. No human being can. You just worry about putting other people first. Everything will take care of itself. Understand why people will buy, why they won't, why they won't allow you to fill the order. And if you don't know something, ask. Don't assume anything. If they're saying something, you don't understand it, what do you mean by that? Why would you say that? Can you explain that to me, sir, if you don't mind me asking? Let me call my manager. I promise you it'll be the most gratifying thing you do. And the byproduct is a lot of money. So what if we worked every day from now until the end of the year? Like, every day. Like, you got your thing on Christmas, you do your thing. Every day, outside of that, you put it in, you did the work, you did what you're supposed to do, you worked harder than you ever have, and you put your head up rolling into 2022, what would that look like? So we are continuing to grow like crazy. We want you to do the exact same thing. If we can help at Corp, you saw a new training portal that's being released. You see a lot of on a daily basis, we're trying to get better. So we appreciate y'all. Thanks for everything you do. We have no company without the awesome agents that we have, and managers and board members and all of that. And I hope to see a bunch of you soon. We had 3,700 people at a meeting, sales conference in Phoenix, Arizona recently. 3,700. Annual convention, get registered, please. Our goal is 20,000 people there in Miami where the Marlins play, and that's going to be one of the most amazing events you've ever seen. You see the guest speakers we have coming in, but I'm as excited, if not more excited, about the awesome people we have that work here. They're going to share what they're doing and what they're not doing with you. So appreciate it, guys. Have a great weekend and a better week.